It's Arjun Erigaisi taking on Jacques Elbelia from Morocco in the first round of the FIDE Chess Olympiad 2024. Arjun has the black pieces and is playing on board number 2. Jacques opens the game with d4 and Arjun now goes knight to f6. Arjun, world number 4 and one of the best players in the world. His opponent 52 years old, FM, with a rating of 2343. Of course, Arjun is the heavy favorite in this struggle, but you never know. First rounds are always very tricky because you might not be in your best shape. Knight c3, Jacques is ready and open for Arjun to go for the Nimzo Indian here with bishop b4, and Arjun does go for it. Bishop b4 on the board, and now white plays the pawn to e3. So this is the Rubinstein variation of the Nimzo Indian. b6 played by Arjun, and white can go bishop d3, knight f3, but can also go for this knight ge2 move, which is very interesting. He plays it. I like how white is slowly moving his pieces with great care. The idea is you want to go a3 and after bishop c3 recapture with the knight. Arjun brings his knight into the center with knight e4. So he must have some prep here. Moving the same piece twice in the opening is not a great idea, but here it seems quite okay. Bishop d2 is played to break the pin and also threatening to win a piece here with knight takes e4. Even if you protect it, it would be a blunder because knight e4 and now the bishop is hanging. So Arjun just takes the bishop now, and Jacques can take it back with the queen. So he takes queen takes d2. And now let's see what Arjun plays here. I like white's position slightly more because he has the center, while black does not have great center control. Short castles is played here by Arjun. And now a3 makes a lot of sense, Kicking away the bishop. Yes, he plays it. a3. If you take here, I will take back with my knight, get my bishop out. Castles should be good for white there. So Arjun goes bishop e7, maintaining the trump that he has in the position, which is the bishop pair. And now what's black going to play here? Black can go bishop b7 or bishop a6 ideas. So first g3. Ooh, white goes for g3, wants to put the bishop here, and if bishop b7, you can always block the diagonal with d5. Very interesting here. So g3, he goes bishop b7, and now d5 with the idea of bishop g2. White should be doing very well here. Let's see what Jacques does. Of course, the rook is hanging here on the long diagonal. He goes e4. Okay. He builds up a strong center, but on the other hand, now Arjun has a move to create some pressure in the position. He goes knight c6. Interesting idea. Like if I go bishop g2, then your plan is to go knight a5, attacking this pawn, and also b3 square. That's what Arjun's idea is with knight c6, and that's the reason why Jacques thinks for a bit and plays the best move in the position, queen d3. Really like this move. And now Arjun is low on space. He's developed all his pieces but has no space in the center. So maybe he wants to fight back with d6 e5, but he goes bishop a6. And his idea is like, once again, if you go bishop g2, I have knight a5, attacking c4, and then d5 could even join in. So you have to be careful here. But Jacques has a very strong move, which is b4. And he finds it. Fantastic. b4 not only stops knight a5, but threatens b5 to win a piece. That's how powerful this move is. And now Arjun may just go back with his bishop. Bishop b7. No! What? Arjun Erigaisi sacks a piece. Insane. He gives up a piece. And is there enough compensation here for the piece is the question. Wow. Jacques says, thank you so much for the piece. And now Arjun takes on b4. Well, now this pawn is hanging if you move the queen, but the queen can go to b1, a fantastic move, hitting the knight. There's no time for bishop takes c4 then. Will Jacques find it? Oh, he finds it, and now he has a very solid advantage. In fact, a close to winning advantage in the position here with queen b1. Arjun goes c5, but a very good move is knight f4, just defending the pawn on c4. If you take here, I can simply play queen takes b4, a6 is hanging, just knight f4 is very strong. But instead, Elbilia goes for rook takes a6. Why? Why do you want to do that? Knight a6 played, and now he just gave back his exchange. So now Arjun materially doing okay. This was not the best idea for sure. And now d5 could be a possible move. And Jacques finds it. He pushes his pawn to d5 and gains some space. If we look at the material balance, white has a knight and a bishop for black's rook and 2 pawns. Knight b4. Good move. The position is quite balanced. In fact, materially, it should be black who's doing well. But positionally, white has more space. Pieces are well positioned. If you can play bishop g2 and castles, then nothing like it. Because then these passed pawns on A and B files are not going anywhere very soon. Bishop g2 played. And now Arjun must try and create some play very quickly. And he does it with pawn takes pawn. And now white can simply play pawn takes pawn, rook e8, and just castle it out with a very, very solid position, very nice edge. But Jacques decides to take it with the knight. He wants to simplify the position a bit further. It's understandable, but now black will take with the knight on d5. That's exactly what Arjun does. And if you take cd, which is what ideally you want to maintain a very strong structure here, queen f6 followed by these pawns coming down might become very risky. That's the reason why Jacques plays e takes d5, opening up the e file for his rook. For opening up the e file, but Arjun can now put his rook on e8. Arjun thinking, looking in the distance. That's how top players think many times. They are not looking at the board. They're just looking somewhere else. And Arjun plays rook e8. Nice move. You can't castle. You will simply lose a piece. So firstly, you have to stop that. And Jacques plays the nice move queen d3. The point being that if you go queen e7, there is d6 attacking the rook on a8. So you cannot increase the pressure on e2 pawn, e2 knight. But b5 is such a great move, because if you take, I have check, queen d2, and at the very least queen b5 stopping you from castling, and rook b8 coming in. Black is better. Jacques does the wise thing. He castles it out, because now if b takes c4, then queen takes c4, and the position is around equal. But Arjun goes b4. Again, ambitious to the core. Arjun wants to play with his 2 pawns. If he gets 2-3 moves more, he's completely winning. So d6 is a nice move. It shows the urgency in position, that white needs to do something very soon. You cannot just play slowly. Rook b8 played, and now maybe knight f4, knight d5. Yes, he finds it. Knight f4 is a good move. He's now looking at the d5 square here. And Arjun Erigaisi plays his queen out to f6. Well, he can still play knight b5. If queen takes d6, I have this very powerful move. Knight takes b4 and the position is around even. But he goes, instead of knight d5, queen b3. And that's slightly passive because now Arjun can simply pick up the pawn. And he does it. He takes the pawn with his queen. Queen takes on d6 has been played. And Jacques, maybe the best thing that he's got now in return for his lost material is the d5 square. So he plonks the bishop on d5 and he's hoping that along with his knight and bishop he'll be able to create some deadly counterplay. Queen a6 played by Arjun. If the queens are traded here, Arjun is doing very well because he has 3 pawns and a rook for 2 pieces, which is a lot of material. Now rook d1 played and Arjun can go queen a3 offering a trade. Of course, taking would mean catastrophe because of rook b3 just defending the pawn. But Arjun does find, no, he goes rook e7 first. He doesn't play queen a3. He defends this pawn. Jacques improves his king position with king g2, a useful move later on so that there are no checks on the last rank that come in. So king g2 played and Arjun now goes in with his queen. Very good move. If you take, I take, and if you try to win the pawn, I have rook b3 and black is totally fine, in fact clearly better. So that's the reason why queen b1 is played. Now threatening some ideas with queen f5, which could be very nasty. So Arjun has to remain careful. He pushes b3 and he gives the challenge to his opponent that find a way to checkmate me. I'm ready to take this on. And now Jacques goes queen to f5. He's moved in. Knight h5 could be an idea. Arjun needs to make sure that he's under control on these squares. Like for example, g6 would badly lose to knight g6, h6, queen g6. But Arjun finds queen a6. Beautiful move. Coming, defending the third rank, trying to put his queen on the f6 square. And Jacques brings his knight back to d3, slightly slowing down in the position. And Arjun can try and force the trade of queens now with queen to g6. Instead, he goes queen f6, which is also a nice move, which is also a very strong move. Not really worrying about the doubled pawns on f6, rather wanting just the b and the a pawns to roll down the board. Queen takes queen, and now the advantage is settling down in black's favor. G takes f6. If you try to win this pawn, knight c5, there is b2, rook b1, d6, and perhaps white is still struggling heavily. So that's why he brings his king to f3. Arjun pushes his pawn to b2. Rook b1 is kind of forced, otherwise he would make queen there. So rook b1 played. And now Arjun finds the best move, rook b3. Superb move, pinning the knight here, and bishop e4 played to defend the knight. But now there is a very nice finishing stroke for Arjun Erigaisi. He pushes his pawn to d5. Excellent move. You can't take with the bishop because you will lose. Rook takes d3 check. He takes with the pawn, and that has unleashed the c pawn, and that is exactly what Arjun's going to play now. He can simply push his pawn to c4. He does it, and the knight is pinned right in the center of the board. Rook takes b2 played. That's an interesting move, because if you take here, I have rook takes b3, and if you take here, I can take back with the knight. So rook a3 played, and after rook d2, now the game is all but over, because after pawn takes knight, black is now not just pawns up but actual material up. He doesn't take it yet because the knight is pinned. Goes king g7, and Jacques plays his king to f4, ready to move the knight if a chance presents itself. Arjun says, sorry, I can't give you a chance. Takes the knight with his pawn, and he's now an exchange up here. Bishop f5 played, but isn't check here. Rook e5. Game over, or just... He plays rook a4 check. And now king f3. And Arjun, I think, has a strong move that finishes off the game with rook e5 attacking the bishop and the pawn. And Arjun finds it. Rook e5 is on the board, and rook f5 also falls with a check, so it's not so easy here. And there's no real move in hand, and Jacques resigns here. Arjun shakes hands, and Jacques immediately says something that he could have played this, but clearly it was a big missed opportunity for him after Arjun blundered right out of the opening. Maybe he just missed some move, but Jacques gave him a good fight, and India beats Morocco 4-0 thanks to Arjun's victory here.